David Haye reportedly made £4.2 million for his first fight with Tony Bellew. And according to Haye, he has been paid more than that by Triller for his fight against Joe Fournier. Now that is absolutely incredible. This Fournier guy is like a billionaire playboy in his late 30s. You know, I view him as kind of a Mickey Rourke type character. Not that he's an actor. Well, I don't know. Maybe he is. But I view him as a Mickey Rourke type character. Mickey Rourke, for those of you who don't know, was a Hollywood actor who turned his hand ostensibly to professional boxing. But if you actually go and watch his fights, they're pretty farcical. To me, it looks like those fights are very clearly WWE type scripted events. And I have to wonder whether David Haye's fight against his friend, Joe Fournier, is going to be something similar. David Haye, in a recent interview, said that he can't help but hit people hard when he gets in the ring with him. So he's not necessarily going in there to try and inflict serious damage on his friend Fournier, but he won't be able to help himself because that's just the way he throws punches. He doesn't know any other way. He doesn't know how to pull his punches, basically, is what David Haye is saying. Do you guys buy that? How real do you think this fight is actually going to be? Initially, BoxRec were actually listing this fight. I think I showed that in a previous video I did about this. They now no longer list it on David Haye's record. So make it out what you will. Maybe they've found out something about this fight which doesn't meet the criteria for a proper professional bout. Excuse me. At this juncture, Triller, who are, forking out the money and showing this fight, seem to be specializing in novelty fights. Some would say freak show fights, circus fights, having the likes of Jake Paul fighting on their network and Oscar De La Hoya. Lots of retired old stars being tempted out of retirement for a nice fat paycheck. David Haye being one of them. Joe Fournier, I wasn't aware of this, has apparently already fought on Triller. So he's familiar with those guys and I guess he's got a good relationship with them. David Haye said that, he's told this story about being on holiday, whatever, with Joe Fournier, and there was girls around the table, the drinks were flowing, and basically one of the girls asked them who would win in the fight between you guys, and David Haye said it would be a draw. Joe Fournier apparently took exception to it, and they decided to settle it in the ring. This is the story, right? This is the narrative that David Haye is coming with. Whether you choose to believe it is another matter. But he says Joe Fournier then got in touch with Triller and said, because David Haye says that he initially offered to spar Joe, back in the UK, and Joe said, nah, let's have a fight on Triller. They're getting Oscar De La Hoya, right? They're paying him some money to get him to be on one of their cards. They'd love to have the Haymaker on one of their cards too. So if you're really cynical, you could look at it and say, maybe David Haye concocted that whole story and it's a situation where he's looking to make some extra money for whatever reason. Doesn't necessarily mean he's got money problems, but when you're moving around with billionaires like David Haye is, then, how much is enough money? He's always trying to level up, right? So perhaps his friend Joe Fournier said, look, why don't you mess around in the boxing ring with me for a couple rounds on Triller, and they'll cut you a huge check. A nice cool 4.25 million, whatever it's going to be. Again, according to David Haye, if he's to be believed, it's more than he got paid in the first Bellew fight, and that was 4.2. David Haye was guaranteed, I think, 2.5 or something against Bellew, but because he got pay-per-view revenue on top of it, a pay-per-view percentage, it was apparently about 4.2 in the end. So, yeah, maybe it's just a case of David Haye's friend helping him out to make a quick few mil for moving about in the ring, I guess we'll see when the fight takes place. How many of you guys actually believe that David Haye is going to land serious punches on his billionaire friend, Joe Fournier? That is how you pronounce his name, isn't it? I think I mispronounced his name last time. Wasn't really paying attention to how it was spelled. Let me go in and have a look here. Yeah, it is Joe Fournier, excuse me. So, yeah, how many of you guys actually think he's going to go in there and hit this guy properly? Bear in mind the guy's a billionaire. He's clearly got a lot of connections. If David Haye lays this guy out, what's going to happen to their friendship? Is David Haye going to have the same connections after that? Is it going to be as easy for him to level up? Let me know what you guys think.